The Pittsburgh Steelers have been the story of the 2020 NFL season, going from 8-8 to undefeated at 10-0. The Steelers' defense is elite, but they were back in 2019 too. So, what changed? Well, that's easy. Ben Roethlisberger was injured in Week 2 in 2019. That ended up keeping him out for the rest of the year. With the Steelers' dominance and Roethlisberger's impact on Pittsburgh in 2020, he makes a serious case for MVP, but he's probably more interested in capturing his third Super Bowl ring. If you love J&D Productions, check out J&D Hoops, where we're going to be uploading basketball content soon. We will be releasing our first video once we hit 2,000 subscribers, so go subscribe and hit that notifications bell. The Pittsburgh Steelers went 8-8 in 2019 and missed the playoffs. They finished second in the division behind the Baltimore Ravens and finished number 7 overall in the AFC, meaning that if the playoff format was changed like it was this past offseason, well, the Steelers would have played in the wild card round. Pittsburgh likely didn't expect to even have the opportunity to sniff the playoffs after the way the season started. The Steelers lost the season opener against the New England Patriots before quarterback Ben Roethlisberger suffered an elbow injury in Week 2. Roethlisberger had to undergo surgery and miss the rest of the season. This meant that the Steelers had to rely on 2018 third-rounder Mason Rudolph and 2019 undrafted rookie Duck Hodges. To say that the pair didn't play well would be quite the understatement. Rudolph and Hodges combined to complete 62.3% of their passes for 2,828 yards and 18 touchdowns to 17 interceptions. It's quite impressive that Pittsburgh was able to finish without a losing record without a capable quarterback. The reason for that? Their defense. The Steelers' last 2 first-round picks really came into their own, with 2017 first-rounder TJ Watt going on to finish 3rd in Defensive Player of the Year voting, and 2018 first-rounder Terrell Edmunds making improvements. The big story of the defense was Minkah Fitzpatrick, though, who the Steelers traded for from the Miami Dolphins early in the season. He excelled in Pittsburgh and was named a first-team All-Pro. Their defense was the 5th best in the league in 2019, but the team still failed to produce a winning record. In the offseason, the Steelers made a couple of important moves for their offense. They decided to go out and sign Pro Bowl tight end Eric Ebron. At the 2020 NFL Draft, while Pittsburgh did not have a first-round selection, they did make the most of their second-round selection by taking Notre Dame wide receiver Chase Claypool. The biggest change to the Pittsburgh offense, though, was of course the return of Ben Roethlisberger from injury. Pittsburgh was plagued with an early Week 4 bye in 2020. Ahead of the bye week, they didn't have to face any top-tier teams in really any facet. In fact, the Steelers' first 3 games almost all ended with the same score. In Week 1 against the New York Giants, the Steelers had their way in a 26-16 victory before capturing the exact same score the next week in a victory over the Denver Broncos. Then in Week 3, they took down the struggling Houston Texans 28-21. The Steelers were able to keep their winning ways in Week 5 after their bye, though, with a 38-29 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. It took until Week 6 for the Steelers to finally face a team that currently has a winning record on the year. Started off strong in Week 7 against the Tennessee Titans before they had to stave off a last-minute Titans comeback in order to win the contest 27-24. Now the Ravens were the next challenge up for the Steelers. For the very first time, the Steelers were able to beat Lamar Jackson, slightly winning 28-24 to improve to 7-0 on the year. After the string of very impressive victories, the Steelers had another span of 4-19. The Steelers responded with a 36-10 win over the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 10 before blowing out the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-3 the next week. Despite the return of Roethlisberger, the identity of this team is their defense. Don't get that twisted. The Steelers are the best defense in the NFL and have given up almost 20 points less than anybody in the league. Of course, with the Steelers undefeated through Week 11, the watch is on to see if Pittsburgh can be the first team in the 16-game era to go undefeated through an entire season. Way to go, Patriots. So we obviously can't tell you who they'll be playing in the playoffs, but how about the road to a perfect regular season? The Steelers' Week 12 matchup against the Ravens has been a bit of a mess. Baltimore has 18 players on the COVID list as of now, and the game has been postponed back to Tuesday. But at this point, there is a lot of skepticism that they'll even play. The week after, they are scheduled to play Washington, a game Pittsburgh should win handily. A week Week 14 matchup against the Buffalo Bills is going to be one of the biggest challenges left for the Steelers. It's going to be a tough win for Pittsburgh, but they will have a huge advantage on defense compared to the Bills' lackluster defense. Then the Steelers will have a cake matchup against the Joe Burrow-less Bengals, but in Week 16 they'll have another huge challenge at home against the Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis has a good offense this season as well. Personally, if the Steelers finish 15-1, I think this is the game they lose. But man, it would be tough to pick the Steelers to lose right now. Pittsburgh will finish the season against the Browns. Now, I do doubt that the Steelers will end up resting their starters if they are undefeated at this point, but the reality is that Cleveland will likely be playing for a playoff spot in that game. It'll be tough with some heavy-hitting games coming up, but if Pittsburgh can get some tough wins against good opponents to end the year, well, they're going to be well prepared come playoff time. I'd like to toot my own horn here about my predictions for the season. I missed on a lot of things, but one thing that I nailed was the Steelers' dominance. Pittsburgh was a good team in 2019, and I thought that if Roethlisberger could come back healthy, they could beat the Ravens for the divisional title, though I didn't expect them to go undefeated. I'm proud of my Steelers prediction, but yeah, just don't talk to me about my Atlanta Falcons preseason predictions. Ouch. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been stellar in 2020, and Ben Roethlisberger is the reason for it. An elite defense is what can make a team good, but future Hall of Fame quarterback is what makes them great. The Steelers are going to have a mess of a decision to make this offseason, with the 38-year-old having an opt-out, but for the time being, Pittsburgh is thriving and should be the easy Super Bowl favorite going into the playoffs. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter for more J&D. We read all of our DMs and love hearing what you have to say.
Looking to fly, my dude, I know I can do the night justice. Trusted my crew can cause a ruckus, cause we on top. Can't stop once we get a beat locked and hop in. We headed to Dobson, it's poppin' till the cops pull up hot, cause they smoking roll-ups and snorting blow. Please give me a minute to